I forgot to hit go live over there. All right, so that's euro dollar. Like I said, euro dollar. I see this turning and flipping. Just by what I'm looking for. Euro CAD. All right, so euro CAD on a daily basis. Again, we had that major gap when the coronavirus started spreading, and then now we've literally had up, down, up, down. Look at the ATR on the euro CAD. 254 pip average, daily average right now. That's insane, right? That is absolutely insane. Looking at this on a 4-hour, I mean, look at this. The range we're talking about, these candles in a 4-hour candle, the 4-hour candle is 300 pips. Absolute craziness, right? So again, is this something necessarily you want to, mess around with? Probably not right now, right? Make sure we load this up. Again, here's the hourly. You guys can see that we had a very, very large zone. It did bounce off of it. So there was different plays inside of here. Here was a zone we drew, what, the end of last week, I guess? Yeah, last week. And you guys can see that that was valid. Ended up coming back up again. But since that time, it ended up breaking through, which it should have. I mean, it hit here, hit here, hit here. This was number 4 and broke through. Not a fan of this zone. Right, it worked out well, but I would not have traded that zone. Even on the 30-minute, this is what we're looking for. The 30-minute ATR is 30 pips, right? It's moving, a pip every minute in one direction or the other. And again, it's okay, but like again, you see some of these larger ones here. You're talking about a 90 pip move in 30 minutes. So it's getting some major movement. This one's a little bit harder to look at, right? And what I mean by that is this one is not necessarily trending as much. Again, we were getting movement here, but since that time, it stayed more sideways. I think in this one, we will probably get, I'm assuming we'll get European news tomorrow before we will get any type of Canadian bad news, right? But you never know, right? Maybe we'll get, Justin Trudeau news before we get any European news, right? What are you doing, bird? I'm trying to sneakily cut the bird's nails, but she's not letting me. She sees the cutter and is like, no, I know what you're doing. So give me kisses until then. I'm like make a fist so she can't bite me, and then like puffs her feathers. She knows what the nail clippers are. Got a little bit. Well, try to be fancy. Big range is time to size down. Yeah, I mean, even sizing down on something like this is a bit dangerous. But we'll have to tank more for this pair to go down. No. This one, no, this is not necessarily an oil play as much. This is basically just the weakness that you saw in oil. All right, so basically, if you're gonna kind of rank, if you're gonna rank currencies, you want to rank them by world control. Okay, this one has more to do with the demand, particularly with the European Union being weak versus this currency pair. So if you're talking about oil, that's kind of a Canadian play, but something with the European Union that has more to do with their demand. So it doesn't have the same exposure. So if you're looking for oil and its kind of correlations, it would be the CAD yen, obviously. It would be the dollar yen, obviously. It would also be the pound yen, or I'm sorry, the pound CAD, not yens, CAD, sorry, the pound CAD. And why is because the UK also has some exposure to oil. Europe does not have the same thing, so it doesn't get kind of classified in there the same way that the other pairs would. All right, hopefully that makes sense. But Canada as a country, that would actually, again, I mean, I guess if oil drops, yes, as a proxy, sure it would, but not the same way as other pairs. All right, so for me on this one, even dropping it to the lower time frames, you guys are seeing, there's been a little bit of plays back and forth, but on a 5-minute, on a 15-minute, the ATR is 17. It's over a pip a minute, is what this one is. One of the standard thing is like 30 pips. So, even this upper zone on the 15-minute, we're talking about risk of 45 pips, which is just a bit too much for me. It's a bit too volatile. This lower zone down here, and again, this lower zone would have been actually kind of a takeoff point. It's still 24. So it's just so hard to mitigate risk with a pair like this. You're basically trading, micros basically to kind of keep your risk at this point. So again, be cautious. Euro Swiss is something that's also a bit interesting to trade right now. Now, Euro Swiss, again, this one you guys can see here. I'll pop back to weekly. This one has been much more on a decline, right? So this is kind of, although it's not in, dire straits, the end of the world like the Aussie is, it's having kind of a similar look, right? Um, Finding targets below, areas where we can potentially kind of bounce off of, few and far between. I mean, look, you guys can see on a daily, we can't see anything down here, right? On the 4 hour, we're seeing small things. Let me bring this back up, reset it. But look at this. Look at these candles. Look at the amount of wicks in here versus the actual body. Same kind of situation. Look at all this fear, right? Now, this one's a little bit different. The daily ATR on this one is only 65 pips. How the heck can the Euro CAD be 250, but yet this one is only 65? Again, it's a bit more protected. There's a lot more kind of indecision type based candles here. And again, they're kind of in a similar arena, similar exposure, right? Um, so again, not as risky, but unfortunately, here's a 30-minute. What type of analysis can you do with this, right? There's not much. So much indecision back and forth. Such ugly candles. You know, even here, look, zoomed in, you guys can see, look at this. Again, we had a small one here that was a good trade, but besides that, look at this. Where is the explosive movement? This is what true indecision looks like. Okay, this is true indecision, and these are markets you want to stay out of. So that would be Euro CAD, right? Euro pound. Now Euro pound put some work in today. Euro pound was up 100 pips, right? You guys can see this one has been rally. Mentioned it last week. Love for it to get up to this range. I think that would be a great area for us to take advantage of. It's not up there yet. It's close, right? It's close. Come on, bird. You're in the position again. Come on. Stop biting. The birds. Yep, I'm going to put my thing. Again, I mentioned before, I was really looking top and bottom. I wasn't really interested in doing too much here in the middle. There's a little bit of an aggressive play, but again, if you're overly aggressive here, look what happened. It ended up bursting through on you, okay? So this is kind of what we have going on right now. Looking for this top range, top area, okay? Oops. Top area is up here sitting at, what? 92.84. Okay, 92.84. Again, it's the very type. You guys should be able to find on your dailies. It's an okay candle, not the best, but it's not bad, right? That's really where I would be looking to start getting short this position. As you can see on the 4 hour, we are again on the 4 hour. It is marking that top zone. There is a 4 hour zone we're about to run into. Now a bit more aggressive, right? A bit more aggressive. This one's about a 25 pip risk on it. We're really close. So let me pull this back. We'll delete that one. There's a zone sitting right here. Now, the reason I'm bringing up this zone, right? I'll zoom in a little bit. Okay. The reason I'm talking about this zone is because with the, basically in what? 8 hours, 9 hours, we have that German economic sentiment. With the German economic sentiment and then the EU economic tomorrow, I just see negativity. I don't know. I don't think there's anything that, with Italy being involved and Spain's numbers spiking, I don't think there's any way that the EU can say, you know what, we got the coronavirus under control, we're going to be all right. I don't think that's happening. Again, that's going to bring major weakness in because they will be the most recent news. Unless all of a sudden, the pound says, oh my God, we have 5,000 new cases tomorrow. If that happens, all bets are off. I can't help you. But I'm pretty sure that the European Union is going to talk about how bad and what their response to it is going to be and how they're going to soften the blow and what they're going to do for the citizens, which is going to weaken that pair, which will turn and flip this one. So there may be a short-term opportunity in this position starting tomorrow at 6 a.m. Now, if Nadex doesn't jack the contracts completely, that could be an opportunity for us to get into something for this one using Nadex again. And the reason why is because, again, this can spike. We want to limit our risk as best as we possibly can. And that may be a way for us to kind of lower the risk even better is, again, by using Nadex in this one. The volume will probably be fine. We would definitely be able to, what I mean is like liquidity. I don't think the liquidity is going to suddenly drop on this currency pair. I don't think we're going to have that issue. So again, you could trade in spot currencies if you wanted to, but again, limiting the risk, there may be a better option by using Nadex in this position. All right, so I'm not going to go too much lower. Again, here's the, you guys can see the same zone there. What we're kind of pushing into. There's small things here. Like I said, this one, you could trade this one on some of these, the smaller times. There was a little bit of a trade here as well earlier today. You were able to take advantage of that, although zone was okay. There's what the actual zone was. You guys can see, haven't hit the 1 to 5, but the 1 to 3 is where I would have put my target on this one anyway. Always aim for right below, so this is a correct target. Okay, to the downside. And again, If you guys haven't figured it out yet, figure out what the intraday theme is, figure out what the intraday trend is, and look for pullbacks that go in the continuation of that trend. That is really the only way right now to be able to trade this market. All right, you got to do it that way. All right, so that's euro pound. Be careful. It has been uptrending. We are getting close to that 4-hour zone, and again, that's what I'm looking for is this 4-hour pop. I'd prefer if it was here, but again, that's where we're at right now. Now, if for some reason the European news surprises the market and it pops up, then yeah, I'm absolutely looking to take this thing short from this top side. Nothing justifies that big of a rally all the way up with like no pullback. Okay. Sure, yeah. All right, so here's the Euro Yen daily. Okay, this zone down here has been holding firm. I'm actually surprised it didn't break through, but again, it's gone pop, it's pop, it pop, pop. It's literally back and forth all over the place. Here's the 4-hour, right? And you guys can see that bottom zone. Again, I'll put it back here. You guys can see there was a zone there, a bit big for me. It did hold, it did push higher, and again, we had a zone here that not only it hit, pushed down to about 1-to-1, and then made another attempt and ended up driving through. You guys can see this is where we're kind of standing right now with the top and the bottom. So we didn't go as low. We didn't, I mean, yeah, there was a zone here that was sitting right on top this basing, right? It popped, it based, and then it took off. And that's what it was the turning point this time. A level and level, you typically go for the farther one. So it's kind of like, yeah, you could say that you would have taken this one, but when it's there and there's one lower, you would take the lower. And this one got front run. And now it looks like it's having problems reaching the top. So I think top and bottom on this one, the 4-hour is probably not bad, right? My top section is at 120.47, and the bottom section is at 116.92. Again, both of them are quite far. I mean, this is 115 pips, although on the daily, it's got 191 pip ATR, which is so unlike. I mean, look at this. Back over here, I mean, you guys can see it. I mean, in fact, here, I'll just throw this on there. We'll throw ATR. You guys can see how this one normally is, right? We're normally sitting over here in the range of, on the low average 50 up to maybe like 90, right? 50 to 90, like in here, probably at 74 was normal. And then look what we've had now. Now the ATR is up here at 190, 189. So again, this is kind of getting a historical of what it should be versus what it is now. This just shows you the level of craziness what we have going on. So it's the one reason why kind of a histogram down here is really the best as far as historical view, right? Just to get an idea of, am I, are we crazy? No, we're not crazy. But the markets have been crazy here a bit. All right. So that's what we got. I'll remove that on the next chart. So for me on this one, guys, 4-hour chart, looking top and bottom, setting alerts on either direction. I think you're good. Euro New Zealand. So Euro New Zealand, I don't know if you guys can see this or not. The daily ATR is 341 right now on the daily. 341. I mentioned this last week. Yeah. This one is a concern for me to trade. And again, I'm not really much analysis on it. I have a couple things out here drawn, but again, this zone got hit, went over, and then ended up breaching. For me, again, I'm going to delete a lot of this. This is a pair that I have a lot of concern for because one, New Zealand is a very, very weak currency. Okay. It's very low traded. It's in a very precautious position right now. And I feel it at any moment. It could also release news that is horribly bad. And I feel like there could be liquidity. If there's going to be a pair right now that's going to have liquidity issues, I feel like this could potentially be one of the ones that has a liquidity issue. I think there's plenty of backstops in for the Swiss. And because people are so scared, I think the Swiss is probably okay. Something like this with the Euro New Zealand with a, again, like I said, an ATR of 341, I think it's a bit dangerous, so I'd walk away from this one. So I would recommend that you guys are not trading Euro New Zealand right now. Euro dollar. So Euro dollar, I do actually have some feelings about. Like I said, on the weekly, you guys can see here, it's not collapsing through the floor. It does tend to go down and back up again. So we do have some zones up to kind of play with. Based off the daily, though, we are kind of smack in the middle between kind of the top and the bottom of two areas that I am very fond of. On the 4-hour, it's been kind of putting some other things in. So I'll remove this now. We didn't get filled on that. You're seeing not as much. Again, we have put a level in. Hourly gives us a little bit better of a picture. Again, we did have a nice area here. Actually, let me drop down to here. This is one of the... There we go. As you guys can see, okay, this one also opened inside of into this gap, popped straight back up, went to the opposing zone, and has kind of since that time really just kind of stayed in that same area. So this is another one so you could have taken advantage of with the gap. like I said, I don't feel like this one is actually trending. I mean, looking at the 4 hour, we're not really trending. We're still consolidating in, right? Looking at the hourly, kind of going a little bit better. I mean, we were starting to go higher, and then we had this, right? And we are still putting in, higher lows. So feel like it's trending up, but I am still cautious of what the European Union is going to say tomorrow. You know, Looking at it on this chart, again, this one opened very deeply in this zone. I think if we start to go short, I don't think this one, I'm going to put this right here. I don't think this is going to really, oh no, I put it in the wrong space. I don't think this area is necessarily what's going to be the stopping point. I think this down here, I think this is what we're looking for. I think this is, I think that's more kind of what we're looking for, right? Of those two. If this bad news, I see this going to the downside. This is not a bad area. Obviously, this one is better, but I think this zone is probably a bit better of an area for potential. Right? Dollar. Let's see. Euro Singapore is also kind of in a funky position. You guys can see on Friday we had that zone and it did pull back again. This pair I'm definitely more bearish. Looking for an entry on it. Again, it's going to be a little bit spiky, a little bit wickier. Oops. Something along those lines. Not a bad zone. We didn't get the reentry. It wasn't a horrible reentry. Um, you know, High pips, but again, not a bad kind of the way that it was formed, even on the lower time frames. See there, it was unable to really kind of get much in there. Now, you will see, guys, there's a lot of green down here. Okay. And it's something I kind of looked at, but at the end of the day, this is not bad. 1 hour has been my favorite one here. Again, I would not mark off this entire zone. I would actually drop this one down to about there. Okay. What are you doing, bird? So again, Euro Singapore is Euro Singapore. Not worried too much. Pound. All right, so the pound. All right, so the pound right now is currently down 179 pips in the last 24 hours. All right. So obviously, it has continued in the last little bit here. It is pulling up today, but this is kind of what we're looking at, right? Obviously, things were a bit worse on this one. I'm waiting for this lower zone to get hit. I've been watching it. I've been waiting for it patiently to come down, and it's been doing this kind of big push, big spike up, big push, big spike up, big push, and then big spike back up again. So it's getting close. It's not quite there. Like I said, it's getting closer and closer, and I think that's what we need to wait for. On these lower time frames, you can see we didn't get filled up here. Let's pull some of them off. This one has had the same situation that a lot of the Aussie pair did, right? It's continuing to drop, 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 drop. But unfortunately, it's not pulling back to areas where it could fill. We had a little fill here, and this was not horrible, right? And then we had a little fill here, but since that time, this was a no fill, so we would not have been able to get into that one. This one being in the middle, I think I'd also be cautious about it. I don't know that I would actually use this as an actual entry. I think I'd wait till this top section. Drop it on the 30-minute, you can see that middle one gets blown out. The indicator no longer likes it. So I think this top one is probably the best entry that we have on it. That's about 113.79 to 134.30. So, talking about a 60 pip range, which is still a bit, still a lot. But, like I said, the ATR on this one is 257 right now. So, kind of like, now, if you want to make it real small, drop down to the 15-minute. That will actually shorten this and bring this down to about 20 pips. Again, much lighter, but we are quite a distance from it. You can see even on the 15-minute, the indicator is not giving us any zones in here, it's telling us anything. That's great. This was close, and there's a little bit of a one here that you could potentially draw by hand if you wanted to. Just kind of like this little basing level here. It did have a bit of a test, and we did bounce off of it, but again, very, very aggressive entry. I love the 4 candles that came off of this zone. I think that's great. But again, it's kind of you're smack in the middle here, and it's starting to build some demand below it. So use caution with it. Like I said, I still think that the way to play this one is to be patient, get the best quality entry we can down here. If we can get a nice little clean pullback on a lower time frame, maybe. But I would have to. I would only be taking this bearish. I would not be taking it bullish until we bounce off of that zone. All right. Going to pound CAD. So pound CAD. Pound CAD is an ATR 251, as you guys can see. This one had that huge spike and push all the way back down again. I'll do the same thing. I'll drag the ATR over here so you guys can see this one. kind of the same thing. Now, this one did have spikes, and this one was up into the the higher the higher range over here. Um, you know, this one was not as crazy as it is now, but again, still was quite a mover before. Um, I mean, where we are now with this one. All right, let me get the indicator list off. Let's. Would I be taking this one for long? No, not really. I mean, it's pulling back up again. I think it's going to probably pounce through. As you guys can see here, this one definitely had a clean level of, kind of wick over wick area that it bounced to. It hit it almost immediately and came back down again. So it has actually tagged this wick over wick a few times. On the lower time frame, you can see it. It was still, showing that it hit. So what I'm looking for is we have a touch here. We almost got a touch. We got a touch here. We got a touch here. And this is what's forming to the bottom side. We have our low here. We have a higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. So we're definitely forming this kind of wedge to the top side. The question is, how long can this wick over wick hold? I was trying to find something on the top side for this one because I do think we have a bit more down on this one. I think the cat has been overly beat up in the last week. Problem is, the one thing I'm looking at on this one is like, man, I'm like, this thing just keeps getting more buyers stepping in, more buyers stepping in, more buyers stepping in. And as you drop these lower time frames, again, you can start to see it, right? I mean, this turned away, this nice push away, this made an attempt, tried to drive down, didn't even come as low, boom, popped up again. Here, another attempt, boom, popped up again. Here, didn't go as low, boom, popped again. So it's like, is this the next pop higher? And will that same zone hold? So it's always nice when you have something like this, you're like, yeah, nice trade. Ooh, I like that. I've seen it on 2 charts. And then when you go to the lower one, you're like, yeah, I see it. It's a clean one. But in this case, it's like, this looks great. And then you go, womp, womp, womp. The zone formation is not really the best. Okay, so I don't know how much longer these sellers in here are going to be a hold this one. I think, if anything, we need to wait till it gets a bit higher up here. And again, I'm on a 5-minute, a 15-minute. And that's where you're starting to see these zones up at 173.74. We're talking about, it's about 200 pips away. Can it move that in a day? Sure. But right now, again, we're in the off hours. During the actual trading hours, there may be a couple opportunities to go back and forth. But I mean, this thing is, this is 150 pips back and forth. It's been doing. This is every 15 minutes, right? So 45 minutes, 150 pips. This one took at least a couple of hours, but this was 45 minutes down, 45 minutes back up again, 45 minutes back down again, and we literally jumped 450 pips in that time frame. A pip a minute. All right. So pound cat is also slightly dangerous, but not as bad as the New Zealand. Here we go with our buddy, the pound dollar. So yeah, crazy pound weakness. So very, very similar to the pound yen, but we're not quite down to that zone yet. I do think we will reach this one. I do think again, the U.S. right now, the U.S. dollar is definitely a flight to safety. Not that anything we have is great, right? I mean, technically, this should be skyrocketing, right? And we just dropped our rates to zero. But why the heck is it going all the way down? Well, again, when it's a world problem, the dollar is, tends to be a flight to safety. But again, we will probably see some type of reversal in that, especially when it starts to kind of pop down here. I think that'd be a good area. And again, this could be a day, this could be 2, this could be 3 days. This is 171 pips, and this one will tend to have a little bit higher of an ATR sometimes too. Not 170, but again, 100, 110. Yeah, that's actually not bad. So this one is not. It's not on like the super crack. It's just on a little bit of crack, right? So again, when we get down to this area here, you're looking at coming down to about 120.82. Now again, lower time frames, right? Let's drop the lower guys, and you guys can see this is what we've had so far, right? We did have a retest off that initial area. We haven't been able to get back to it since that time on the 1 hour. But since that time, every time the indicator is actually painting something, we've been unable to actually reach that area. And I'd actually mark a small area there as well. Here's the 30-minute, right? A little bit of an area. Again, you could have drawn something here, but we still wouldn't have gotten the entry. And this is what we've run into, right? We've just had a hard time for it really finding and getting good quality zones for us to ride us to the downside, right? On the 4 hour, you guys can see we were hitting a very, very small 4 hour zone. And it's hit it. It's respected it. It went about that deep into it. You guys can see we went about 70, 80% through it. I do not think it's going to hold, but again, there is a potential for a Harry Potter trade on the 4 hour to the downside. Something along the lines of this. Oop, not that. Not what I want to do. Not this button. Something along those lines. Okay, looking for that breakdown below the 121.96, and again, targets down under the 121.35. It's more kind of what we're used to. In that one, we're talking about what, 18 pips risk. That's more what we're used to, right? Not risk of like 55 or 70 pips. Okay, Bert, you were out, you were quiet, and now you flew back in your cage. You're going to be loud. All right, so pound dollar, that's kind of what we're looking for, is a break of that level to go down. Pound Aussie, that's the weekly. Again, 352 pips. So this one is also on the super crack. This may be the mega super crack. Um, so many zones, right? So many zones. It's popped, and look at this. There's just no way to do any analysis on this. This literally like back and forth fuzz. Um, look at this. How are you doing? Any type of analysis on this? You're not. You're not, right? I mean, that's about what you're looking at. All right. This wick is just killing the top side and the bottom side. I just don't like anything great. All right, so again, Euro Aussie, nothing we can do, too much risk. Pound Singapore, we're about halfway through in our push back down again. Still bearish this position. On the 4 hour, you can see we've had a hard time getting back. We had one retest here. This one's not as good, and again on the 4 hour, we got a range just a little bit lower, about 145 pips below. So again, that's kind of an ATR down. On the 1 hour, again, this one was trading extremely technical, but we've been unable to get pullback levels. Again, definitely bearish this position, waiting for this one to come down. I had this area marked off over here. Was it 171.20 to 170.48? Quite a big range, but I'm using that as a target to the downside. I do think we will get a little bit of a pop off of this one, just by the way this is formed. You guys should be able to see it over here on the 4 hour as well. Yeah, you can see it right here. Whoops. All right, you guys can see right here. Here's that kind of area. The indicator's marking this one. I like this one a bit better. I like how this pulled up. It had a fast pop down and then launched its way back up again. I like it a little bit better than this one because this one has this really kind of, this candle of indecision. You can see it right here, the yellow one in the middle. So I like this better right below. So that will give us a little bit of a kickback. So watch out for that. Pound Swiss. My God, the birds are driving me crazy today. All right, Pound Swiss, again, collapsing below, and we have no areas of demand. So again, this is purely a pullback situation play. ATR on this one right now is, it's 163, so it's more than it should be. But again, this is just on regular crack, not super crack. I think there is probably some potential in this one. Again, if we can keep the spread low, it's fluctuating between 2 and 3. Here's what we have. So this is actually not a bad area where we are right now. It is only about 35 pips away. So that's about 2-3 hours worth of movement. Again, not bad. I think if we can get up to that range, this is kind of what I was looking for in this position. If we can get up to there before the European Open, that may give us the weakness that we need in this currency pair. Like I said, I mean, we haven't heard too much out of the pound as well, so there is a potential that they could start kind of making some comments as well. They are probably due to make some comments. It's just a small setup. It's in the direction of the trend, and it wasn't horrible, right? As far as the risk level goes. The risk on it is, you guys can see it right here. If you guys can see, it's about 23 pips. It's more than we normally like to take. But again, what we normally like to take is different than what we have in the current environment. So, maybe position size yourself down just slightly. But it was actually one of those setups where I don't mind the zone. I like the pop. I like the base in one candle, and then I like the fast drop away from it. So, and nothing in here is showing me that we necessarily have buying. So I think the 1 to 3 target is good. The 1 to 5 is just on the other side. Just a bit outside, but it's probably not a horrible target. I do think we will have continued pound weakness in this one, and the Swiss has actually been pretty resilient thus far. Pound New Zealand, kind of the same thing. ATR of 364. I do think liquidity is going to be an issue in this pair. As you can see, that big spike up did tag that upper level. Would have been a great trade, but holy crap! I mean, that was that was a 1,000 pip spike up and then a 1,000 pip spike down in one day. So if you were in that one, good for you. If you were not in that one, probably the best, right? Because again, risk is what we're watching out for. Now, lower time frame. Again, this one, I'd still be cautious with it. I think this is going to be dangerous one way or the other. On the 4 hour, you guys can see it is bouncing off of things. I mean, it's spiked and hit, spiked and hit, spiked and hit. So I mean, it's been tagged a few times. It's been pretty good so far. But again, I'd be very, very cautious in this one. Um, it does not spend much time here, right? And now we are getting the lower high. So I think it is probably going to break the next time it gets a really concerted push to the downside. I think that was from last week. And again, on the lower time frames, you're seeing it's an issue. Now, this one also has a spread of 8. So remember when I talked about the volume being an issue? Now it's back down to 7. Now it's back up to 8. Whenever you see anything this high, you know that there's liquidity issues. And again, that's kind of why I'm saying, hey, listen, you need to be careful. Stay out of these horrible liquidity pairs. So that's kind of the biggie with this one. All right. That's New Zealand. And again, New Zealand, I just think is of all the currencies out there right now, I think New Zealand is the one that is the most dangerous, that I would put the highest level of risk on. Normally, people would say, hey, the Swiss is the one that you got to worry about. Because of what's going on right now and all the uncertainty, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, all we need now is like North Korea to shoot a missile, right? That would kind of be the sprinkles on top. This is all we've seen a lot more strength, Swiss strength. Not that they are protected. I mean, there is no way to say, hey, we're neutral, coronavirus, don't come to our country. It's coming. They don't have a choice, right? But they've been quite resilient in this one. So again, I see that pattern continuing. All right, looking at New Zealand, I'm not going to spend too much time in this pair. Like I said, I do have issues with it. You guys can see 120 on New Zealand Swiss. That used to be 40. The only ones I think we should watch out for is this one over here. You guys can see, obviously in a big downtrend, you're seeing crazy whips. I mean, just you guys can see this one candle right here. Just this one candle itself is 449 pips, right? Yeah. And again, I see this continuing to fall. You're seeing a little bit of a base putting in right now, but I see the dollar strengthening more versus New Zealand. New Zealand just hasn't made that much noise lately. Okay. Again, I think the liquidity in the New Zealand dollar will be a bit better than the pound New Zealand, but I still think it is a precarious situation. And as you guys can see here, even in the pound yen or the New Zealand yen, you know, didn't get filled on this original gap. We had some spikes up again, and then the gaps that we had this week in this pair were just kind of crazy, right? Just kind of crazy. You can kind of see that's what we're working with, right? Price was here, gapped all the way down, went all the way back up, filled the gap, grabbed that zone, went all the way back down again, right? This 30-minute candle in this one is 166 pips. And then we had one candle that was about 45, and then it collapsed, and that one was about 190 pips to the downside. So, yeah, be careful with these. All right, and again, spread's only 2, so that one's not horrible. Daily on this pair is up to 184, which is, here, I'll click this for you guys. Look at this. The average on this one used to be 57. So, we are 3 times what the normal ATR is. 3 times. Going into the dollar pairs. Okay, so here's dollar CAD. This is what I was showing my wife. I was like, ooh, we're up in that 140 range, right? So here's what we got on the daily. Again, this is definitely CAD weakness. And again, part of this has to do with global demand. Part of it has to do with Canadian dollar. I mean, again, are they going to get the coronavirus there? Yeah, of course. So they are going to be affected. That will affect their economy because people will not be buying as much locally. It will affect their exports because we will not need to buy oil from them. The oil that we do buy from them, it will be very, very cheap. And then we will turn around and sell it back to them for a more expensive price. Or we'll just produce it and keep it ourselves. So there's not a whole lot going great for the CAD right now, and that's why we're seeing the dollar CAD continue to kind of rally higher. I do not see a high level of dollar weakness coming in until, maybe months from now. But I do see, Justin Trudeau, confirmed positive. I see this, ticking up as well. I don't see too much that will turn and flip this. And you're also seeing, unlike some of the Aussie pairs, what are we seeing here? What are we missing? We're not seeing anything, right? We're seeing levels higher. And again, that would be these weekly levels. Here's a weekly level, but it's an absolutely enormous weekly level, right? You're talking about 541 pips. So it's going to be very, very hard to pull much data out of this gigantic weekly level. Okay. Going back, you can kind of create some type of a level out of it. This is a level that I was looking at right here. And again, this is using a weekly level, dropping it down to a daily to get kind of a better firm, kind of look at it. And that's sitting up there. And this one is at 145.05 to 146.91. Now, if the dollar CAD gets up to like this level, 146, 150 range, my wife's going to make me move back to Canada. just because we get paid in US dollars. So we'll see how that turns out. But this is kind of what you're looking at, right? Up inside of that range, right? The 1 to 3 is right where price is right now. The 1 to 5 is a bit lower, but it is before the gap. So it is actually not in a bad position whatsoever. And again, that is a higher level zone, a weekly zone, but using the daily to actually refine it. I don't think we're able to actually see this one on the 4-hour. No, it's unfortunately it's too far back for what MT4 holds data wise. So again, that's why we were doing it on the upper, the upper time frames. But yeah. So again, that's using a weekly and a daily zone, kind of the upper end of the range up at 145. And it's amazing. I mean, it's like growing up as a kid, I remember it was like 125. And you guys look at it here on a monthly basis. I mean, look at it. You guys remember this back in 2013? I mean, it was basically down at parity, right? It was actually the exact opposite for a little while. It was in the other direction. We were down in this range, right? Below. Well, now the tide has turned. The tide has turned, and this is the last time their price was really that high. So just to keep it into perspective where we're at, we are definitely high in the curve on the dollar CAD, without a doubt. All right, so that would be dollar CAD. Dollar yen, this one's kind of all over the place. You guys are seeing the ATR on this one is 220 pips. It has no reason to be that high. We've been filling gaps, kind of moving left and right. Here's your 4-hour. You guys can see there was that, here's the gap from last week. We're unable to get back to it. We kind of pushed away from it. This one kind of ran away. This was also, again, this is, again, using the higher level, right? This is using a 4-hour with the hour. You can see it's marking the gap off, but it got front run, unfortunately. It didn't actually get up to where it needed to be. And then after that, it just continued to push down. So this is what I'm kind of talking about. Figure out where the theme is for the day and then grab the pullbacks. This was one zone here, and unfortunately, the entry on this one was kind of funky. You would have probably missed it. And as you guys can see, there's 2 front runs off the top level. On the 15-minute, kind of the same idea. I mean, there's a bit of a zone right here. Again, these descending candles down and then a nice pop through. You would have had probably there as your area right there. And as you can see, front run, 2 different opportunities stay. And again, front run right here. So yeah, been hard to get an entry in this one. Now on the bottom side, if you were looking for a reversal trade, this actually wasn't bad. You had a pop up, an immediate retest, and then this thing just launched. So there was a small trade there, and you would have been able to take advantage of that from 105.34 up to 105.96. And it actually did go all the way up to the 1 to the 5 before it ran into some problems, and that would have been perfect. As you guys can see, look where this target is. Looking to the left, you guys can see, hey, listen, didn't you just draw a zone there? Yeah, I drew a zone there. That's what I was saying. You got front run, but having this kind of long here, again, it shows you need to make sure you get out before those opposing zones. Okay, and again, missed, hit your 1 to 5, and it literally pulled away and it's gone sideways since that time. So that was a 15-minute, right? Where we are right now, this one really need to focus during the day. Like I said, without a doubt, you guys need to mark this top area off. I think this top area right now around, let me get that bottom set right. Hold on. Well, along those lines, actually, you know what? I could just do that. Take that off. Let's delete that. Let's hit R. Let's looking at 106.15 to 106.50. So again, a large zone on the hourly. That could be definitely a Natick setup if you're looking for one for, depending on how much duration you have left. Again, a lot we can do with that one. Trying to check out the touch brackets on this one. Let's see, touch bracket levels. We're talking about 150. So there's 2 touch brackets on this one. Actually, if we can get up into that range, there is a touch bracket that is not bad. All right, let me drag this across for you guys. So that level is from 108.15 to 108.50, right? There is a touch bracket with a top end of 108.53. So technically, if we get in there and it breaks, you're at the very, very top. So that could give us an entry that was very, very close to the top of that touch bracket. There is one over here at 108.03, but that's just a little bit early. I have a feeling that that one will end up popping. We'll see. You know, these other two, again, those will get reprinted in about 30 pips. So I guess not 30 pips, I guess 60 pips. This bottom one here will get reprinted. But this top one, if price goes up, that would actually be an interesting kind of touch bracket to throw into this one. Not too bad. And again, that one has a longer duration. And again, you guys know I don't do a ton of touch brackets, but one of the nice things about the touch brackets is the duration is definitely longer. And that is kind of one of the advantages to a touch bracket versus a spread. So that's one thing we could be looking for. Dollar Swiss. As you can see, dollar Swiss, here's the daily on the dollar Swiss. You're noticing, again, this one had a push down, but then again, it's been rallying back over the last week. So we're seeing that dollar strength come in. Again, a lot of concern before, and then bam, look at this. This is where we've seen, again, the U.S. coronavirus has actually been much more into effect. So on the 4 hour, you can see this one does have a top and bottom, okay? Again, the top is actually not in a, it turned here, right? But this is not a zone we would have marked off because it spent a lot of time here, right? But it did hit and drop and then came back in again. So we do have top and bottoms actually in place now. On the hourly, it gives us a little bit better of a view. And again, look to the left, you can see that basing. It took forever for that thing to drop, hence why it didn't get marked. Bottom side, I'm not really concerned about this level. This one hit pretty deeply, so I don't know if it'll hold again. I also don't necessarily like the bottom of this one. I had a hard time kind of trying to setting this trade up because like, am I going to like the bottom? As far as 30-minute levels go on this one, let's refresh it. There we go. So here's our 30-minute. Again, nothing for a long time. We did come down. We grabbed an area, but it's a zone, but I wouldn't say it was the best zone that it pulled off of. And again, this one was kind of the same situation. It turned, but it went off an area here. So it's like, I don't know. This has definitely been a much more shorter time frame type trader if you're, able to get in there and trade it. What I'm finding is that setting this one up, a lot of the levels that I'm looking for just seem like they're not getting hit well in this one. Unfortunately, you guys can see on the 15-minute here. It's not marking. It's marking a lot off up top and a lot off up bottom. There's a few things in the middle, but it just not getting enough actual trend for me on this one. I just can't. Trying to pull a trend out of this. It's like today was in a downtrend, but we broke it here and then we changed it and then it broke it again sideways. It just, I don't know. Nothing about this one I love, right? Again, you guys can see if you drew trend lines, there's one here, and then kind of you could draw off the top, but I mean you should really be drawing it this way. So I don't know. Like I said, I think that this one set an alert for the 4 hours. Look for this top here or this bottom here, and then come back and focus on the chart. I'll put any more attention to it. Drop it into the 3 extras, or I guess the 6 extra charts. So here's silver, right? Here is silver. Silver is falling through the floor. We're at 1270 right now. It was lower, as I mentioned today. This one is going much lower than I thought. I thought we'd actually I had something down at like the lower, I guess it was like 1229 maybe. So it actually, the fact that it went down here to, wait, what was the low? Let's see. 1126. It went farther than I thought it was going to actually run today. I don't actually see silver being anything. I don't see a huge rally in silver or anything that is kind of motivating for this one. And as you can see, I mean, even on a weekly, we got nothing, right? On a monthly, even on monthly, I don't have anything in this one. So it's kind of one of those things. It's like, yeah, right? Dropping this one down, I think this is absolutely where you have to play this one if you're going to look to play silver. None of the zones look great. It kind of found its way. As you can see, we went up and then just boom, collapsed all the way down. We stopped and then we gap back up again, and that's where the movement. And now from this gap, right, this initial gap candle, it basically is in the same area. It didn't move too much. So I think the way to play this one is look for wherever the open is for the day. See if you can get a trend and see if we can get some kind of smaller time frame zones. Even on the 15-minute and the 5-minute, right? We don't really have a whole lot of explosiveness. And if we do, it's very, very small, right? You have, right? You have a small zone here. You know what? I'll just do it with fibs. You have a small zone here, right? And you can see, no, not that one. Based off of that entire candle, again, if you got super If you got super conservative on this one and took this top area, you did not get filled. If you took it off the movement, you got filled. Okay. Dropping it over here, if you took it off this candle, same situation, you probably didn't get filled, ended up going to target. So there has been some zones, and like I said, when it gets front run like that, you typically don't look at it again. If there was another little piece over here, if I extend it across, you can see again here, and it just based, so that would have obviously taken you out of that one. And then it kind of collapsed after. So again, the indicator on this one actually is finally painted a little area here. And again, not a bad area. Gave us a pretty decent kind of pop. It wasn't immediate. That's the one thing I don't like about it is it created it. It got 4 candles and then exploded off. So, not bad. It's up at 13.19, so that may be an area to watch out for. Downside, the analysis is going to be a little bit rough, right? I mean, you got this huge spike down and then boom, 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 but a lot of wicks. Yeah, not bad. Looking at gold. Gold kind of in a similar situation, right? Gold has literally been tanking. This one does have an area of demand below. Down here at 1430, okay, we are at 1488. So this one, this one could definitely move, right? This one could definitely, go far enough. Dropping down to a 4-hour, it's that zone's down there a little bit. There's been one entry on the 4-hour. Not what? Come out if you want. Come out. Okay. Here's your 30-minute chart. Okay, even the 30-minute, the only thing we could have drawn today would have been a level pop here, but we didn't get back up to it. We kind of just moved sideways. So, gold is interesting. Okay, looking at and doing the analysis on gold today, you have a lot of people telling you to buy gold, right? And the reason why they're telling you to buy gold is because the interest rates are zero, right? Because they're preparing for inflation. But at the same time, those same people 5 minutes later are telling you that, listen, this could be, instead of 8 weeks, this could be 12 weeks. This could be 15 weeks. It could be 16 weeks. The school year could be over, which doesn't incite inflation. So it's kind of one of those things that's like, grabbing this one, you got to kind of do the same thing. Where are we opening? What does the daily trend look like it's going to be? And how do we make our money in this one before we retrace again? Because people really don't know what's happening. It's kind of the same idea. So it's very, very similar to silver. Oil, okay. Oil, you guys can see here. Here's let's see, we'll put the daily in there. You can see the daily pushing lower. Again, we're back into the 120 or in the 29s. Okay, here was your 4-hour. We had the gap down. We never touched it again. So again, this one is purely a lower time frame position. Oh, bird number 2 came out. I'm like, wait, who's flying around? Here is the hourly on this one. So I was looking at this one earlier and I was like, would I be willing to take some type of a pop off that one? And it bounced, but it was kind of like, here's where we had the gap down. Here's, obviously sellers pushed. Here's another one. Sellers pushed again. It's like, if you didn't get in here, where would it go to, right? Here, it's the same thing. So I don't know. If anything, I'd probably say, and I feel weird saying this, but again, if the price drops below this $27, what is it, $27.59? I feel like we need to start looking for additional shorts. I just don't know how much lower this really can go. I don't know. It's just getting to a point where it's just so low. And again, here's on the 15-minute. You guys can see there's a zone down here that ends up at, again, 27.55. That is a zone. Can we see it? Yeah, it's back here. That other prior low. All right, and again, not a bad zone, right? Base came up, retested, and took off. So, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like if we can break this zone, I just feel like we're gonna go south, right? So, I don't know. That's kind of my thinking. Again, doing it purely on a technical basis, yeah, if it breaks, it's a Harry Potter to the downside. But I mean, geez, oil this low is kind of like, man, people want to get paid, and oil is such a manipulated kind of asset in general anyway. I mean, oil is not something that can go to zero. They're not gonna, they just stop producing it eventually because they're losing money. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you caught it 3 ways today. I mean, yeah, on these smaller time frames. I mean, there was a, oops, there. Like I said, very small traders market. That's all we can say about this one. Nasdaq. All right. So again, on the daily, you guys can see free fall pretty much, right? 4-hour, you guys can see where the open occurred. Okay. You guys can see this one did come back up and grab, but again, huge gap candle on that one. There you go. You guys can see we had that gap down. Here was one, right? Here was the other, and then here was that other one. I think this is the one at 3, right? No, that was the 6 one. Yeah. I thought there was another one over here somewhere. Where is it? Man. Yeah, right in here. I thought there was more of a pop on that one. You know what? It would have been this pop right there. Yeah, there's Trump speaking right here. Okay. So people like, they liked what he said, and then they adjusted it. And I didn't have it marked off actually, and I would not have marked that zone off, by the way. I was trying to see if it had this marked off. That zone, I don't mind. Candles, clean candles to the downside, and you guys can see it literally spiked right up into there, and that's where the kind of the turnaround position was for me today. That's that. That was probably the best one. Actually, that was the 13th. That was from Friday, and then this is what we had today. Actually, this is where I had the trigger. It was actually, I'm sorry, was it? Hold on, let me find it. No, it was not that one. Oh, there it was. It's this one. Sorry, it was this one. I was actually looking for this. It had the gap fill here. This is the one that I was actually waiting for the pullback from. Okay. Sorry about that. It's that one. Yep. So, yeah, I was gonna say, wait, I know it was up top. It was higher. We didn't get to it. It was this one. I still like the top one though. By the way, I am still a big fan of this one. You actually can see, actually, it's marked off here. It's marked off here. I do like this one. Not that I think we can get there in the next day or two, but if we do have a pop, the 79.23 to the 79.76, I do like that for a short. But I was looking for this one to come up again too. I like the way that it hit this, came and then failed in this zone, and we didn't get back up to it today. All right, Dow. Here's a Dow hourly. Kind of the same idea. Here, the 30-minute on this one started to get very, very jumpy, and the data was starting to get screwed up. I like this one up top here as well. I think on the 30-minute up here, I think this is a good zone. The way that it popped, it turned, and it flipped back down again, I was kind of torn. This level, not bad, right? This level up here, not bad. This is what we dealt with today. But again, I think that's where we really need to focus on. I think this level here is, again, on the upper end of the curve. The last time price was there, it turned and flipped. This one has this little tiny gap. Not really anything that I'm interested in. Don't really care about this one, the way that it ended. I don't like the gap in here. I don't really like anything about it. In today's action, again, we push down, we push down, we push down, and then we kind of turn and flip. And again, on the larger time frame, guys, you can see that this is kind of what we're dealing with. See how there's two zones right here, and we went below. I was waiting for some type of a flip. All right, so I think the way to play this guy is play this on the 30-minute. Wait for this area up top to kind of get tagged again. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get up there tomorrow. I think that this is definitely a potential for tomorrow. That top section. Okay. And if we're green tomorrow, I definitely wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, there's such a reaction on Mondays right now to what happens over the weekend, and then we kind of digest things, and then things go back up tomorrow. I do think that they will make a huge announcement on kind of things that we can do, and I think that will help restabilize the market and again push this to the top side. S&P, S&P, I didn't really find much in this one that I was interested in. This one seems like it's been wickier. Again, the indicators marking things off. I'll delete this up top now. 30-minute. Actually, it was the hourly on this one. So this one has the same thing. I like this area up here at what 26.91. You can see we're obviously much lower on this one. Price obviously could jump that much in one day, but I think that's probably the best area up top. It starts to get a little bit funky with some of the data in here because of the gaps and everything, but I like that target. I like how much it rallied, and I like where it turned off of there, showing that buyers were stepping in. Honestly, I just think right now with the way that the S&P and everything is moving, for me, it's just easier to stay over in currencies right now. So don't really love it in here. That's all I got. All right, so went to 1040 today. We talked about stuff a little bit more. Let me drag Forex Factory back in. Don't forget, guys, tomorrow, this is going to be the big one. I'm going to wake up early for it, actually. I want to hear what this economic sentiment is going to be. And I'm waiting. I'm very, very curious about this. So I would not be surprised if this is red tomorrow. and this is red tomorrow. This we'll see. Again, that's going to depend on the U.S. market, but I'm kind of looking for this to be red and this to be red. I just don't see anything that they could say positive tomorrow that the market's going to be like, yeah, European strength. I just don't see it. So I'm kind of preparing that, and that may be why you see green in both these, because the market is also preparing to do the same thing. All right. So let's drag the stream elements in. We'll give you guys about another 30 seconds to a minute to get into the giveaway. It looks like Wealth Builder was the last one in. Ernest is not in there. James got in early today. He didn't want to mess around. James or Josh got in. Who are we missing? Vanessa's in there. Ernest is in last. Let's see. Next time. Ernest didn't grab the last one. Next time stole the last spot. Anybody else? James, it's okay. James, if you win, it'll be all right. It'll be worth it. You will be pip chip positive tonight. Look at that. Nix is coming in at the last minute with a follow, too. Will, are you in here? Wait, where's Will? Oh, there's Will right there. There's Will. Nix, welcome, buddy. All right, so let's go ahead and do the drawing real quick. I will close it down. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, and... Oh, with a 7% chance, Ernest felt validated. He got in with the secret sauce. Ha! Look at that. He stole it. Man, whew. Nix, you almost got it on that one. Almost got it. Wow. All right, so I'll mark that as complete. Ernest got it. And like I said, guys, I still have not updated this yet. Ernest is not in the lead, although it's very, very, very close. Like I said, I have not pulled those figures across yet. Still need to do that. Maybe I can do it tomorrow. But obviously, with the 2 kids at home, it's a bit craziness over here. So you guys know how that goes. So with that said, guys, what is it? That's criminal. It was so close. All right, guys. So I will catch you guys tomorrow, same time. I will probably be on tomorrow morning. I actually have a question for you guys too. So I'm trying to. Somebody asked this earlier as a buddy of mine that he is not working now. He was working on, I guess, the exhaust systems and electrical inside of. Will's like, watch this. I'm gonna take it over again. I'll let Ernest sit on that one for a little bit. He doesn't know that trick yet. He actually worked on the electrical and ventilation systems in restaurants. Well, now that all the restaurants are closed down, he's not working. So he's like, hey, man, he's like, what do you do with this trading thing? He's like, can you help me out with the trade thing? So I think I'm going to probably do something probably with the parabolic retracement course, since obviously we are seeing a lot of that right now, and that is the one that is most based off news. So I'm going to bounce some ideas. So if you guys are running Discord tomorrow, I have some ideas of something I can do for that one, and kind of what I'd be able to do with it. So if you guys are in Discord, make sure you look for that. I don't know what time I'll be jumping in and asking questions, but I have a couple ideas. I just want to kind of sleep on it, and then I will bounce it around tomorrow morning for you guys. All right? So with that being said, you guys take care. I will catch you tomorrow.